And the only reason for this is that I'm the only person I trust not to speak too long. Or if I do, who's going to stop me? So let me just say, the question really is, there's a lot of talk about accountability. What do you think has to be done, and how can AFOA help? And let me just say to you that, of course, there's a lot of talk about accountability. There's a lot of talk about accountability and transparency for every single government in this country, for every single government in any country. But I think people really ought to understand and question sometimes the motivation of the people who raise the issue. Of course there are problems, but for a government to raise the issue of accountability within 2 weeks after they walked away from Kelowna, when the First Nations were expected to put 5 issues on the table and they put a 6th, was accountability, because they said they want to be able to deal with it better. And then for a government to come in there and walk away from Kelowna, and also walk away from that commission, the First Nations, and the Indigenous peoples on the question of accountability is just simply phony beyond belief. The second thing is that there is tremendous interest and tremendous focus on accountability within the Indigenous peoples. Derek Epinek is here. Remember when you introduced me to the chief at Arlen Dumas in northern Manitoba, who came to see us on the grounds, could we help him develop his books so that his people could check on what he was doing and basically engage in that kind of a conversation. So AFOA, Terry can do an enormous amount in terms of making sure that governments provide the funding for the administration that is going to do it, making sure that government is at the table when in fact the First Nations and the Métis Nation and the Inuit basically say we want to up our game. I think AFOA can do an enormous amount to help them. But let me tell you right now, the problem is not the Indigenous people of this country. That's not where the problem lies. It lies in governments having to cut the services at the crucial time when the First Nations wanted to do it. Now, that's pretty quick. Okay. Now, because this is such a miserable person. Let me just make one other comment. Earlier, Ovid and I I'm just really addressing the young people who are here. Earlier, Ovid and I were kidding a little bit when we said that we weren't sure we would do it again. The fact is, we would both do it again. And let me tell you why. And that is that there is no service that you can provide to yourselves, no service that you can provide to your people, and no service that you can provide to your children and grandchildren than to dedicate yourself to them in the way these people have done. The public service, at whatever level in which you do it, is clearly the highest vocation that anybody can aspire to. And that they have devoted, as the others here in this room have devoted themselves to their people, is something in terms of the quiet satisfaction it gives you at night when you have done your best, is something you will never match. You can do more in 5 minutes in terms of public service than you can do in 5 months anywhere else. And so I would simply draw that to your attention. And then I would say the following. I have in the course, this has been a remarkable morning as far as I'm concerned. I have in the course of my life participated in conferences such as this. I have done it at the G7, I've done it at the G8, the G20, I have done it at Davos, I have been around. And I can tell you without any fear of exaggeration, those opening statements of these 5 men were as strong and as extraordinary a set of statements as to what they believe and where they think their people have to go as I have ever heard. If ever you begin to question what you're doing, if ever you begin to question the importance of the fight of the Indigenous people in this land for their rights, for their vision, for their children, then I would simply ask you to remember what was said here on this stage by these people. And I hope that this has been videoed, because if it has been videoed, then it should be shown in the schools. Canadians should have this right to see it. Certainly Indigenous Canadians. My only role here was as a very unsuccessful successful timekeeping. But let me tell you, I will be forever proud to have shared this stage this morning with these men as they articulated their vision of where their people must go. And I can tell you, if you listen to them, and if Canada listens to them, there is no country in the world that will be able to touch us. Thank you very much.